Welcome to This Day in History, where we explore fascinating events that happened on this date in the past. Today is January 25th, and it's packed with historic milestones that shaped entertainment, sports, and even crime history. So sit back and join me as we dive into the first ever Emmy Awards, the inaugural Winter Olympics, and the infamous death of Al Capone. Our first stop is 1949. Picture this. Television was still in its infancy. The screens were small, the images were grainy, and the concept of binge-watching was as foreign as a trip to the moon. Like, we're talking diapers and spit up, folks. The medium was still learning to walk, let alone run. Programming was limited to just a handful of black and white shows. The content was simple, often live, and the technology was rudimentary. Your choices were basically Milton Berle or, well, more Milton Berle. He was the king of the small screen, dominating the airwaves. But on January 25, 1949, the entertainment industry took a historic leap with the first ever Emmy Awards. It was a momentous occasion even if it didn't seem like it at the time. Now this wasn't the glitzy, star-studded affair we know today. There were no paparazzi, no red carpet, and certainly no designer gowns. No, this was held at the Hollywood Athletic Club in Los Angeles, a modest venue for what would become a monumental event. And let's just say it wasn't exactly the hottest ticket in town. The audience was small, the atmosphere casual. Think more company picnic and less red carpet. But its significance? Groundbreaking. It was the dawn of recognizing excellence in television. Only 6 awards were handed out, including the first Emmy for Best Film Made for Television, which went to the Living Christ series. A humble beginning for what would become a prestigious accolade. Now I'm not saying it wasn't a gripping drama, but I'm guessing it wouldn't exactly set Netflix ablaze today. The standards and tastes have evolved dramatically. And get this, the Emmy statue itself, that iconic winged woman holding an atom, was chosen from 47 different designs. Each design represented a different vision of what television could be. Can you imagine the other 46? The creativity and imagination that went into each proposal? A dude in a top hat holding a test pattern? It sounds absurd now, but it was a real possibility. A literal potato with rabbit ears? The mind boggles at the thought. Thankfully they went with the symbol of art and science in television. A fitting tribute to the medium's potential. And thank God for that. Because can you imagine trying to fit a potato with rabbit ears on a shelf already crowded with Grammys and Oscars? It would be a logistical nightmare. It's a logistical nightmare I don't even want to contemplate. The elegance of the Emmy statue fits perfectly among the other prestigious awards. But back to the point, this small ceremony held on January 25, 1949, would grow into one of the biggest nights in entertainment. It was the seed that would grow into a towering tree. Today the Emmys are the pinnacle of television achievement, a night where the industry comes together to celebrate its finest. It's where careers are made, dreams are realized, and speeches go wildly off the rails. The excitement and unpredictability are part of its charm. But it all started right there, in a slightly less glamorous version of Hollywood, with a handful of awards and a whole lot of hope for the future of television. A humble beginning that paved the way for the glittering spectacle we know today. Now let's rewind a bit further, to January 25, 1924, a time when the world was still recovering from the aftermath of World War I, and people were looking for new ways to come together and celebrate human spirit and resilience. We're heading to Chamonix, France, a charming little town nestled in the French Alps. Known for its breathtaking scenery and serene environment, Chamonix was the perfect backdrop for an event that would soon capture the world's imagination. Imagine snow-capped peaks, crisp mountain air, and a bunch of athletes bundled up like Michelin men, ready to make history. The excitement was palpable and the air was filled with anticipation. They gathered for the first Winter Olympics. It was a momentous occasion, marking the beginning of a new era in sports. Well, technically it was called the International Winter Sports Week, which sounds less like a global sporting event and more like something your overly enthusiastic gym teacher would organize. But don't let the name fool you. The significance of this event was monumental. But hey, who are we to judge? They didn't have fancy branding consultants back then. What they did have was a passion for winter sports and a desire to bring nations together through friendly competition. It wasn't officially recognized as the first Winter Olympics until later, but this event, my friends, laid the foundation for what we now celebrate every 4 years. It was the seed that would grow into a global phenomenon. Think of it as the awkward teenage phase of the Winter Olympics, a time of experimentation and discovery where the rules were still being written. The games featured only 6 sports, a far cry from the dizzying array of events we have today. But these 6 sports were the building blocks of what would become a diverse and inclusive celebration of winter athletics. We're talking bobsledding, ice hockey, figure skating, the classics. These were the sports that captured the hearts and minds of spectators and set the stage for future competitions. None of that curling business yet, that would come later, much to the confusion and delight of viewers everywhere. Curling, with its unique blend of strategy and skill, would eventually become a fan favorite. Norway and Finland dominated the medal count because apparently being really good at winter sports is just in their DNA. Their athletes showcased incredible talent and determination. Meanwhile, the United States managed to snag 4 medals, including 1 shiny gold. It was a proud moment for the American team and a sign of things to come. One of the most memorable moments? American speed skater Charles Jutraw winning the first ever gold medal in Winter Olympic history. His victory was a testament to the spirit of the games and the potential for greatness. Imagine the pressure. No rule book, no previous winners to measure yourself against. Just you, the ice, and the hopes and dreams of a nation on your shoulders. No biggie. Jutraw's triumph was a beacon of hope and inspiration for future generations of athletes. Over the years, the Winter Olympics have grown into a global celebration of athleticism, featuring daredevils on skis, figure skaters defying gravity, and yes, even people sliding stones across ice with unnerving precision. The evolution of the games has been nothing short of spectacular. But it all started in that small alpine town, on this day in 1924, with a bunch of athletes who just really loved strapping planks to their feet and hurling themselves down mountains. Their passion and dedication set the stage for the incredible journey of the Winter Olympics. Today, athletes from around the world owe their dreams of Olympic glory to this historic event. The legacy of Chamonix 1924 lives on, inspiring countless individuals to push the boundaries of what is possible and to strive for excellence in the world of winter sports. Our final stop takes us into the shadowy world of crime and prohibition, a time when the law was more of a suggestion than a rule. We're talking Tommy guns, speakeasies, and enough fedoras to fill a haberdashery. It was an era of glitz, glamour, and a whole lot of illegal activity. On January 25, 1947, one of the most notorious gangsters in American history, Al Capone, shuffled off this mortal coil. His death marked the end of an era that had captivated the nation. Now, Capone was the king of organized crime during the Prohibition era. He was the man behind the curtain, pulling the strings of a vast criminal empire. He controlled Chicago's bootlegging, gambling, and prostitution industries with an iron fist. An iron fist that probably had a few diamond rings on it because this guy loved his bling. His wealth and power were as ostentatious as his personality. Known as Scarface, a nickname I'm sure he just loved getting, Capone became infamous for his lavish lifestyle and ruthless tactics. He was a man who lived large and played hard. This was a man who once allegedly ordered someone killed for giving him the wrong change. His temper was as legendary as his criminal exploits. Talk about a bad Yelp review. Capone's reign was marked by violence and fear, a dark chapter in the history of Chicago. And then there's the St. Valentine's Day Massacre of 1929, where 7 rival gang members were brutally murdered. It was a chilling display of his power and ruthlessness. It was a brazen act of violence that shocked the nation and cemented Capone's reputation as a ruthless criminal mastermind. His name became synonymous with organized crime. But here's the thing about empires built on illegal booze and violence: they tend to crumble faster than a stale baguette. The foundations of Capone's empire were as shaky as they were bloody, and Capone's was no exception. His downfall was as dramatic as his rise to power. Despite his power, his empire began to crumble in the 1930s. The walls were closing in, and Capone's grip on Chicago was slipping. The feds, tired of his shenanigans, finally brought him down. They were determined to put an end to his reign of terror. But here's the kicker: they didn't get him for murder, racketeering, or any of the other countless crimes he likely committed. No, they got him for something much more mundane. No, they got him for tax evasion. That's right, folks. The mighty Al Capone was brought down by the IRS. The man who terrorized Chicago, the criminal mastermind who seemed untouchable, was brought down by the one thing that strikes fear into the hearts of even the most hardened criminals' paperwork. It was the ultimate irony. In 1931, Capone was sentenced to 11 years in prison, including a stint at the infamous Alcatraz. The king of crime was now just another inmate. It's safe to say his luxurious lifestyle didn't exactly translate to prison life. The opulence was gone, replaced by the harsh reality of incarceration. After his release, his health went downhill faster than a bobsled on an icy track. The years of excess and stress had taken their toll. Complications from syphilis, a disease he probably should have considered a bigger threat than the FBI, ravaged his body and mind. His once sharp mind was dulled by illness. By the time of his death in 1947, at the ripe old age of 48, he was a shadow of the criminal mastermind who once ruled Chicago. His end was as tragic as his life was notorious. His story remains a cautionary tale of crime, power, and the importance of filing your taxes on time. In the end, it wasn't the bullets or the booze that brought him down, but the simple act of failing to pay his taxes. January 25th truly is a day full of intriguing moments. From the glitz of the first Emmys, to the athletic feats of the first Winter Olympics, and even the end of a criminal era with Al Capone's death, this date reminds us of how diverse and rich our history really is. We've seen how a small award ceremony evolved into a global celebration of television, how a sports week in the French Alps gave birth to a global sporting event, and how even the most notorious criminals can be brought down by something as mundane as taxes. Thanks for joining us on this day in history. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories from the past that continue to shape our present. Until next time, stay curious.